Yeah. I think it's like that way you can just grab and like you get it all nice. I just have a lot of friends, and I had a coworker who told me I almost worked at that's my old job. I was like, okay. I said that. Because like I remember that. Where?
Like fresh bagels or something.
You're like, I would have said I guess like all these are very different. But I don't know if that's what you trying to give you all kinds of you cry, like I'm trying to let you off my hook. Yeah, I do. Really? I know, and these papers are very cool. Get a bird. Yeah. You were in like elementary school. No, I didn't.
I mean, I don't know. I've never even heard anybody say that. Yeah.
Maybe that's what
Usually gets quite biased.
There's like a 6 different like some of my boss
Be like, hey, have you talked to this person?
So it was like it's almost like the plug-in is bad. Like it was just like you have to like do it right. I didn't have time to look at it.
Like cream cheese bagel. Cream cheese exception. Fascinating. Sorry, I'm interrupting your read.
Right. Say that over under 7. 7? Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. I think that's Joe's 13. Oh, wow. Wow. Well, it's part of my thing, right? Okay, so you need to. You know what? There's some higher. Dave's up hard.
I'll never go back. See this part. Next rock rollout, I need to like buy something. Yeah, it's a box. So that would be the next breakfast.
All right, how's everyone doing? Great. Nice. We don't have a microphone today, which won't be an issue for me, I don't think, but it may be an issue for everyone else. So if you can't hear something, someone in the back, James, put your hand to your ear. People will, that'll be the signal, okay, speakers? James will put his hand in his ear if you guys can't hear. So anyways, welcome. All right, off to a smashing start. There we go. That's what we're waiting for. So welcome everyone to the 2019 annual Rock Rollout presentation. This meeting is our State of the Union, okay? It's here where we get to articulate our strategy to the entire company and announce our goals for 2019. It's the most important meeting of the year. This is where we get to review the results of the last 12 months and chart the course for the months ahead. And in my experience, I think this is a time that we should cherish. Often we find ourselves knee-deep in our work, focusing on the trees that we don't have necessarily the time or the opportunity to step back and review the entire forest. So today we get to step back and check out the entire landscape. And we're going to look at what we accomplished last year. We're going to look at where we fell short. One of the reasons I'm really excited about today is because for the last 6 months, we've been working on some really high-level, interesting, strategic corporate rocks that have influenced what we have selected as our priorities for 2019. And in my 13 years of running this business, I have not witnessed this level of methodical, strategic, collaborative planning and execution, ever. So the goals that we're going to share with you today, pay no attention to that, are, I think, going to take this company to the next level. Maybe someone should sit up there.
Or, I think it's a computer, like a linkage issue, so we might want to put this on a different computer. It might keep happening, that's my computer.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, well, while we figure this out, the next slide's not that crazy. In fact, my slides are pretty boring. But we got to get this working before
Yes.
KV gets
Okay,
up
well,
here, 'cause
let's
the slides are boring.
unplug, sorry guys. Make a quick edit.
Okay, so our agenda for today. Mark's going to come up after me, and he's going to talk about 2018 and how we performed as a group. Kevin and Vianney are going to come up here, and they're going to talk about the quarter four rocks, whether or not they were hit. Vianney's then going to be joined by Megan and Jacqueline to get to the fun part of our meeting where we recognize our people. It's always a good time. I'm going to jump back in. We're going to review some high-level updates we've made to our VTO. Kyle's going to talk about the 2019 goals. Dave's going to run point on the rocks that we've set for 2019, quarter one, and also walk through the changes we've made to the org chart, which are on your seats. And then I'll come up here and conclude the show. Okay? So before Mark gets up here, I want to talk about briefly why I think 2019 is hugely important for this company. For the last, I think, 3 to 5 years, the way I've been describing what I've been doing, what we've been doing to my colleagues is that we've been building a cannon. And that's what this slide would show, this nice little gif of a cannon. We've been working diligently at creating a company that I feel, to the market, looks like a $100 million machine. So we know right now that the opportunity ahead of us is plentiful. We have a wide open landscape to provide executives and companies with products, services, and opportunities that we believe are going to be invaluable to their careers. And so for the past 6 months in particular, we've methodically advanced our strategic efforts to the starting line. And this starting line for me is the moment I believe that we're going to put our plans into action. Where we be able to start executing on our strategy, that we've been busy building and developing, where we'll be able to completely leverage all aspects of the company to really drive where we're headed. So that's why I feel like we're at that starting line, and we're going to finally get to fire that cannon. Right? So 2019 is the time. So once that cannon is fired, where are we headed? Right? What's going to happen? What does that strategy look like? Anybody want to take a stab at telling us what our corporate strategy is? Extra brownie points for sitting in front, but also to taking a stab at the strategy. Anybody want to take a stab at it? Like, what are we doing? Well, I think one of the reasons it's hard to answer is that I think historically at this company, we've made our strategy, I think, a little bit too complicated to understand and describe. So our VTO that we have in front of you, that is there to help us distill our strategy. But it doesn't tell you directly what the hell we're doing, right? It has all the elements of the strategy, but it doesn't say, hey man, this is what we're doing. And I think that's what's needed, right? So before we get going, I'm gonna tell you what we're doing, all right? What we're doing in 2019 is that we're pivoting this organization to be known as a provider of executive services in 3 major lines of business, right? Services that are in the wheelhouse of our expertise and that we believe will benefit the executive and businesses alike, okay? And those services are executive positioning services, okay? That includes content creation, strategic introductions, talent access, articles that we can provide for executives, creative branding, that's helping companies tell their story in an authentic way, and sales consultancy, taking all the work that we've done, all the collateral that we're helping them build to help them scale and grow their organizations. Okay? And so what makes our company unique, I think, is our proprietary brands, the strength of our networks, and our go-to-market approach. So that's what we're doing here. It's that simple, but it's dynamic. And we should be able to understand it and explain it and share it to the world in 3 sentences in an email, right? So that's one of the things that we're gonna really get into today and discuss. What that strategy looks like in action, takes shape in our 2019 goals and our Q1 rocks. So with that, let's review how we did in 2018.
Hey guys, I'm Mark. I'm the Managing Vice President and Integrator of Guerrero. And I get to talk today about 2018. Just as an overview, we'll get into annual goals, but also highlights what did we get done, what didn't we get done, where are we at. So when I was thinking about 2018, the term that came to mind was exciting. And on the surface, that sounds like cliche, like everybody talks about, like, oh yeah, it's such an exciting year. But I'm going to frame that a little bit better in the way that I'm thinking about how it was exciting last year. And the first way that it was exciting was this. Imagine if you walk out of your house in the morning and you have a shiny new, this is a Lexus, in your driveway. You weren't expecting it. There's a big red bow on it, right? That'd be super exciting. Your adrenaline would be pumping. You'd be smiling. Your heart would be racing. You'd call your friends and tell them, your so-and-so got you this brand new car. Right? It's probably never happened to us, but it'd be super exciting. The other side of excitement is a side that I think, you don't always think about, especially in terms of business results. And that's this guy. So imagine if this guy pops out of the woods. You're camping, and this guy pops out of the woods, like with a big knife or whatever he carries. Right? Like you're going to be excited, right? Startled. Like your heart can be racing. You're probably not smiling, but you're going to call your friends if you make it through. Like, that's kind of how our year went. Right? We're going to Lexus in the driveway, and we're going to Michael Myers popping out from behind the bushes. But before we get into what the company did, I think it's appropriate to take a step back and to think about all of us. And the most exciting thing that I can think that could happen to someone, professionally and personally, is getting a new job. So before we even get into this, please raise your hand if you did not work here in 2017. So that's a lot, right? All of you guys got new jobs at a new company and hopefully started a new chapter in your career. So congratulations. The other side of that is how many in this room worked here in 2017 but had a new job in 2018. That's still like a quarter. I had a new job. I was an integrator. Kyle's had 3 jobs in a year. Like a lot of us have new jobs, and that is reflective of the change and the excitement that happens at Guerrero. We have new people. We have old people doing new things. And so let's get into the company real quick, right? So we did some exciting things as a company. And the first thing that we did, the first half of the year, was we took a stab at changing how we'd always done things. So, I think since we opened the doors 13 years ago, since Pedro opened the doors 13 years ago, we would follow the same process. We'd call an executive, we'd get them on board, we'd write an article about them, and then their article would sit on our servers for months and months and months. It'd go to China, it'd get printed, it'd come back on the slow boat, it'd end up in USPS mail, and whatever. It took forever. And we said, what, let's not do that. How much more valuable would it be to our executives and our clients if they got their article in 2 months? Because it's done in 2 months, right? It doesn't change what we do at all. It didn't cost us any more money to provide this extra value. And so we did it, right? And one of the biggest offshoots from this was value for the company, right? So it's all about value for the executive, value for the client. That drives sales and drives value for the company. But one thing that we can point to is that by doing nothing else, we spent no money in advertising, we didn't do anything, and our site traffic, the traffic to our websites increased 30% just by doing this. So a little change, costs us no money, tremendous value to both us and our executives. And then we think about, let's put them all up there. In creative, right? We did a lot of exciting things in creative, some on the quality side and qualitative side, and then some on the business side. On the quality side, like we've always won awards, right? But we won more awards and different awards we've never won before last year. We did different work last year. We're going to continue to do that. And then on the sort of efficiency and business side of it, we took a lot of stabs at making that department super efficient and effective so we could do the best work that we can possibly do. And that effectiveness and efficiency leads to quality. We staggered press. right? We always went to press at the same time for almost all the magazines. Everybody would be super busy for 2 weeks, and it wasn't good. So I said, oh, let's just stagger it. And now people have time, right? You have time to breathe. We have new leadership. We have a new middle management leadership structure. We have a new guy at the top. We have new capabilities. So we're doing stuff that we've never done before. And something, I don't know if anybody's going to talk about this, but one of the things that we started on towards the very end of last year that I think is super exciting, along with releasing our articles early, is we're bringing our writers in-house, right? So we've always contracted writers, or for a long time, we've contracted writers, right? They're freelance writers. It's not that they're bad, but they don't work for us. And they often have other full-time jobs. And so they have other priorities. They don't work for us. They don't have email addresses. They don't report to us. And there's just a slew of issues around it. And aside from that, they're expensive. They're relatively expensive. So we said, forget about it. We'll bring them in-house. We'll train them ourselves. We'll bring them to the Guerrero way. We'll save money. We'll make more money. And we'll produce a lot better product. In sales, one of the biggest things I think that we did last year was we successfully rolled out the BD team. And so the BD team, for context, we've tried this 3 times now. This is our third time in it, and we nailed it this time. Chris has been a one-woman shop for a long time. And it wasn't until 2018 that we were able to get after that, bring more people in, bring a process in. And we went from doing $700,000 in 2017 to a budget of $3 million in 2019, all because of the work that we did last year. And we did a lot of other stuff on the CAM floor. We have new leadership again, new structures, new processes, new packages, new territories, a lot of new and exciting stuff. And as a company, Pedro alluded to this a little bit. As a company, we did one of the most, or at least started one of the most exciting things I imagine has happened in this company in the last 13 years. And that is that shift that Pedro talked about, moving this company from a product-based company to a service and an agency. That's going to impact all of us in 2019. It's going to impact our clients majorly. It's going to impact our finances in a positive way. It's going to impact our lives and our clients' lives. And that's really exciting. That's a huge shift we made in 2018. We did all of this in 12 months. But we also screwed up. And not a lot, but we didn't succeed in everything. I think that it's important to talk about that. And one of the areas where we, and this happens to every company, but we lost people that we didn't want to lose. Right? We had turnover. We lost some capabilities. We've added more capabilities back. But I don't want to overshadow that, some of our colleagues that we really loved in 2018 moved on to other opportunities. And the other thing that I don't think anybody is unaware of is that by and large, we didn't hit our sales targets last year, sometimes by a lot. And we have pockets. That's the same amount of pockets of certainly salespeople excel and hit their personal best, hit records. The BD team, for example, did really well. But as a company, we didn't do what we set out to do. And that sort of puts us in a weird position. And if we back up to 2017, we came into 2018 a little bit strapped, right? We'd made a lot of investments in 2017. And we expected sales to come from that weren't showing up yet. Part of it was a delay, part of it was they just weren't coming. But that put us in a mindset and set us up for a 2018 that was different than any other year. And that was one where we had to be careful about what we spent. We had to retract a little bit. And we had to play the balancing game of, we're not fat, dumb, and happy anymore. We've got to be careful with what we spend. We were faced with that challenge of moving forward, driving the company forward, continuing to grow, and doing so as fiscally responsible as humanly possible. And that trend is probably going to continue into 2019, right? I mean, we made money last year. I'm not going to go into it in depth, but we did make money last year. We made about $500,000, which is not something that, we want to sneeze at, right? It's a lot of money. It's not what we wanted to make, but it's a lot of money nonetheless. And that's all I'm going to say on financial results right now. What I will say is that Dave and I are going to set up some lunch and learns or, some sort of company-wide, open the entire company, sessions that talk about finance next year. We've heard from you guys that you want to learn more about our finances. You want to learn more about how finance works in business, period. We can't do that here. We can't do that in the normal course of business. So we're going to create lunch learns. We're going to give you guys that opportunity. So stay tuned for that. If you want to know more about this, sign up for that. And with that, we'll get into sort of the nuts and bolts of what we wrote down as annual goals for the year. And again, I want to frame how we think about annual goals, right? So we have quarterly ROCs, which are quarterly goals. And those are very specific. We expect to hit those. Annual goals, it's not that we don't expect to hit them, they just take a little bit different life. And so Pedro talked about the idea of a canon, and Guerrero's canon. He didn't necessarily talk about it in this sense, and we couldn't find a better picture than this. But the idea is that our annual goals, if you think about them as a cannon, if you back up and you think about what a cannon is, right? It's this massive chunk of metal that shoots a huge ball of lead, right? It's huge, it's impactful, it's loud, and you sit there and you line it up and you fire it and you see what happens, right? Like cannons aren't accurate, and not that our annual goals aren't accurate, but they're meant to be directionally correct, right? So we might have set a target to hit that middle guy. And even if we miss, like we're still hitting something. We're still doing what we set out to do. And that's how we have to think about annual goals, right? Like they take weird bounces. They take wild bounces. They veer off course. And that's expected and known. We're still going to aim as precise as we can possibly aim. But we're not expecting, for everything to be right on target. And that's a lot of, that's how our annual goals went last year, not surprisingly. Our first annual goal for the year was to enable the sales and production model to empower our people, delight clients, and increase value profitably. Right? And so the idea is here, the idea here is that we have a core business, right? A core thing of what we do. It involves sales, it involves creative and resources, it involves operation, and we need to enable that entire function to work as best as it can. And if it does, we'll have profit, and that's what we're out for, right? We're a for-profit company. We want to make money, and so that was this goal. And so, like a cannon firing a ball, we didn't hit that on target. We already talked about this. On the sales front, we didn't hit it, right? We had a lot of good wins, but we didn't hit it. On the creative side, we did pretty well. I'm not getting into the bullets here, but we did really well on the creative side. We did a lot of the things that we wanted to do, and so the result of that. Is profit that was not in the middle, like that last slide, but off to the side, right? So we still made money. We still accomplished this goal. We did it differently than we thought and with a little bit different results. But it's still a win. It's still a plus. Our other annual goal, we actually renamed this in the middle of the year. When we started with this annual goal, when we started the year, our idea was that Profile could become the corporate brand. Right, so you would work for Profile, not Guerrero, and all the other brands would feed up through that. And we did that because Profile is one of our strongest brands. It is industry agnostic, it's function agnostic, it covers everything. At least has the ability to. And we thought, well, why not put our best foot forward and make the company Profile? And as we got into it, we found that Profile was super strong on its own, which we knew, but we also found that adding those other brands to it might dilute it a little bit. And on the other side of that, we said, and we don't have to do that in order to lift the other brands up. What we do with Profile has an effect on the other brands. We learn with Profile, and so we started taking a stab. We redesigned it. We redesigned the website. We redesigned the voice and the content. We redesigned the newsletters and the entire feel of the newsletters. And we learned a lot from that. And we made Profile the best publication it could possibly be. And then we took those learnings and we applied it to other brands like AHL, ABQ, and then eventually HE towards the end of the year. And so did we hit this? Hell yeah, we hit this. Profile is an anchor brand that positions all of our other brands as thought leaders, and we learn from it. And our last annual goal was all about people. It was to equip our people with training and resources to maximize their experience. And the goal here is pretty simple, right? I don't think that anybody doesn't understand this goal, right? It's that our people, everybody in this room, all of us, are the company, right? We are the resources, we're the capabilities, we're the talent, and we have to invest in that talent, we have to maintain that talent and grow that talent. And we set out at the beginning of the year, last year, to intentionally get after that. We created a department around people, but whose sole focus was the intentional development and management of our employee experience and our employee success. And one of the more tactical things that I get to talk about right now is our LDP. We revamped our LDP program, and LDP is the Leadership Development Program. And it's a program that, if you're unfamiliar with it, you're eligible for once you're out of onboarding. So you've been here for a little bit. You apply. There's an application. You get an executive sponsor, and a whole slew of other things. And if you get in, the point of this program is to teach. Is to develop you as a leader. So to teach you all of the different aspects. There are 6 modules, all the different aspects of what it means to be a business, both here at Guerrero and just period. And this is a little snippet from Meg, who's not only in the Leadership Development Program, but now runs the Leadership Development Program and what LDP is. In LDP, candidates are provided the tools they need to drive their professional growth and the growth of the business. They attend 6 sessions learning the ins and outs of each department at Guerrero. They attend monthly mentor sessions with a member of the leadership team, helping them grow leadership skills and empower each of them to impact the business from their seats with the new skills developed from the program. So this group also got to experience helping with our events. We participated in some of our Chicago events with Vianney. They entered the recruiting world with Elise, with one of our college creators. And they worked with Kevin in out-of-the-box creative brainstorming session. You can see the results of that on the fridge downstairs with those drawings. I don't really have it there, but they liked it. It was cool. And the kicker of all this, though, is that to be in this program, you have to have been succeeding in your job. To stay in this program, you have to continue to succeed in your job. So they did this above and beyond their day job. And to sort of round out this part of the morning, I want to recognize those who graduated in December. So I'm going to call you up here. If you hear your name, please come up. Hold your applause to the end. Angela. Wes. Alyssa. Skylar. Thorpe. And then with us remotely, Juanita and Christina. So we have certificates of completion here for your graduation. Congratulations. Let's have a round of applause. And before we end this, I want to do something else that we usually do at our Guerrero Lives. We don't have this month, but it's really important for us.
Thanks.
And that's recognize people who have been here for a long time. Anniversaries. It's an important thing for us. It's a big deal for us. We celebrate the company's anniversary every year, and we like to celebrate our individual staff's anniversaries. So, Ben Julia, 4 years. Ali, 1 year. Jillian, 2 years. And joining us from Wisconsin, 10 years for Stacy Kraft. And that's our year. So we did a lot of exciting things. We did it all with you guys. So thank you. And now we're going to move on to a little bit more detail on what we did in quarter 4. Yanni and Kevin are going to share our quarter 4 thoughts.
Hi, everybody. I always like to start with a segue back to the person who just spoke. And I'm confused because I had 2 great choices. Mark, thank you for that great presentation. And one thing I want to recommend is, or offer the services of the art department for any future illustrated needs. An uncomfortable one, and I think it should have maybe been flipped this way a little bit more. I know why you had to do it. Actually, I think he pranked you. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. This is my fourth month here. Seems like a lot longer. I think I've talked to Mark about this. I said it seems like it's been years. So in Guerrero years, I've been here 4 years. So we're going to talk about rocks. Wait a minute. Thank you. I can't remember the simplest possible things. We're going to have a slight review here. Not going to take a lot of time because we've all talked about this rock quite a bit. And I've been living with with this rock for a long time. So as you recall, we had a big, heavy rock, and that was to activate, propose the idea of expanding our services into 3 separate business models that flank our core business model. So that was a lot, and you also gained a new mascot throughout this whole thing, which is great. I'm going to continue to leverage this as much as I possibly can without his knowledge. So he's gone for now, and I just want to remind us what this rock was. This was to expand Guerrero from publisher to Publisher Plus to become a company that provides unique professional services to our executives. How are we going to do that? You might remember. We were going to attack this by a focus, plan, execute, measure, and repeat dynamic. And I'm here to tell you that this is not working. Are you doing this to me too?
No.
Yeah. Okay, that's supposed to be over here. This is supposed to be over here. And this is supposed to be over here. Did this happen when we switched computers? Probably. Okay, so the point of this is we can X out focus because we've already done that. We applied focus. We determined what services we can realistically offer and in what categories we can offer them. We put the plans together. We put cost structures together. We put paperwork together. We put process together. We've aligned people against the hours. And we've actually started to execute it. At least 2 of the verticals have been executed against up to date today. What do we have left to do? We have a lot more left to do. We've got a lot more heavy lifting to do, but we're going to start to measure it, which is easy because is it successful? Is it making money? Is it driving revenue? That's easy to measure. And then we're going to repeat that process provided that it's working. So this is really thrilling because you never know what's going to come up on that next slide. So what have we done so far? As I just mentioned, we've created the proposals and we've scoped the effort. We know how big it can be. We know how big it can be from the beginning, and we know how big it can be when we're done with it. We've built a process and behavior. We put proposals in place. We put paperwork in place. We started using creative briefs. We have the foundation built in order to allow us to do this with good discipline and due diligence. We've identified the cost and billing structure. We went from the ground up. We had nothing to go on. How much should we charge for this stuff is a great question. We've done a lot of work understanding what the market can bear. We'll probably experiment back and forth on looking for profitability, on what we can charge for it, how much profit can we drive against the revenue that we're going to have. We're not exactly sure yet, but we can find that out. We've done some initial selling of video. We've done some sales consultancy, and we've done some design work. So we're already executing. And we fielded a huge digital strategy survey, which is going to really be important, not so much now, but later as we start to align all our messaging through our various digital channels. Okay. Okay. This is a really big, impressive chart. And basically what it was supposed to do is show you, we created a menu of services. This is really hard to do. So one of them is sales consultancy. Basically, guys, what we did was we figured out what services we can offer and how we're going to sell them. So they came in 3 verticals, and one is sales consultancy. The other is basic agency services. So that's design, that's concept, that's branding. And then the last one is in executive promotion. And that is recruitment services, that is executive media kits, things like that we can build, purpose, and sell. Now I'm feeling like Pedro did very well without any slides. I don't know which is worse. What is this? What's going to be next? Who knows?
You want me to try to
No, let's just go with it. Okay, that's exactly what I thought it was going to be. We've done some work. I know I've gotten up and talked about Cheer TV. And this is really important because not only was it our first, but we could have done this very simply. They asked for a postcard. We could have given them a postcard, but we didn't. We gave them a multitude of creative executions We also gave them something else. We gave them a concept that they could build their business on. And the concept was based on how they viewed their business and what their selling proposition was in the marketplace. Their selling proposition was that they built extraordinary individuals. They trained cheerleaders, but they built leaders, which was great because if you look at the word cheerleader, it's got damn word right in. Okay, so it's very simple to just break that up. And we're not showing the usual, pom-poms and flips and pyramids. We're showing a determined young woman, an empowered young woman who's not only learning how to cheer, but she's learning how to be a leader. And that's a great dynamic. That's a good dynamic to build a business, to build a brand on. So they got that. They got a great price for it, I have to say. But we will try to extrapolate more money from them as we go. We also did some work for Deal Room, and Deal Room is an M&A, mergers and acquisitions software. A lot of it is very confusing and cloudy to me, but we did take the assignment and we did logically think our way through it. This is an assessment graphic that we've done. It's a small project, but it is a foot in the door. And we're talking to them about more, which is what we need to be doing. This was a very, very easy project for us to do. We turned it around extremely quickly, and it was well done and well received by the client. Okay. There we go. Kyle, would you like to come up and talk about sales consultancy? Yeah.
Oh, nice.
You got a slide. Looks good.
So just for some context, these are, Deal Room and Share TD are current clients. We actually just landed a client yesterday too, the Latino Business Action Network. We have a proposal out with Archilea. They're a digital marketing firm right now. And then Kara also set up a meeting with the nation's second largest flea market. They have locations across the US. Company's called Swaparama. But just so you guys know, I guess in simpler, more basic terms, this is what we're offering to these clients. This is what's in the proposal. This is what we're planning on doing. So really basic in terms of Cheer TV, lots of creative work, a little bit of sales consultancy because we're changing their value proposition and how they sell. Looking at Archilea, they're actually trying to build an inside sales team. So this is essentially all sales consultancy work, except for when I deliver them the sales manual and their processes, it's going to be in a Word document, and they're going to look at me and be like, can you make this look nice? And I'm going to be like, yeah, here you go, Kevin, right? So it's very easy to cross-sell here. Once you get your foot in the door with sales, delivering them creative, good-looking products is really easy to do. And then with Deal Room, it started as a sales consultancy, still doing that for them now, scripting, lead cadence. Actually really pivotal. Working with him, we actually made the decision to pivot his sales team from being outbound folks. So he had about 4 or 5 sellers that were doing outbound sales, cold calls, generating leads. We actually let all of them go. And because they were getting 30 to 40 inbound leads every single week. And so we actually hired then customer success reps to handle the inbound leads. And now we're making that inbound lead process more valuable. And so just like from a high level, the impact that this services business has on another organization is huge. And so I hope these examples, one, show you the impact that we can have, but also two, show you how easy it can be to transfer a client from being a sales consultant all of a sudden into our creative agency. And last but not least, into executive promotion services, which could be selling them an executive media kit or simply having their name in our publication with a feature, right? So, that's all I got.
All right, that's enough. Any questions on this? That's a really good point to make. Yes.
This is a point that's important about Archilea. That's interesting. Okay, Archilea was in Sync magazine, and when I met with Mike, he tells me that he always uses his article in Sync to land new business. And by the way, it's a little outdated, so he wants a new article. All right, so this is just another example of how this kind of stuff starts to come full circle.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the point I was going to make, is that one effort feeds into the next, which feeds into the next. We can get a nice revenue and growth cycle going with each of our clients. So As far as rock goes, this rock was from last year. I think it's all said and done. And the rock approves. So now it's go time. Okay, let's see. There we go. It's go time. We got to get going. We're ready. We're poised. We got the structure in place. We are good enough to go. And we need to now get determined and really get after this because it's not over. There's still a lot of work to do. We have some pretty lofty goals for this year, and we're all going to have to work really hard to get to that. Okay, that's supposed to be determined. And as I said, I'm going to continue to melt this rock thing as long as I can. But yeah, that's the way I feel right now. Somewhat smaller, but that's the way I feel. I feel very determined, and I'm ready, willing, and able to do whatever it takes to make this thing happen. Why? Because this is what we do. This happened to me the last time, didn't it?
Gotta have typefaces.
Font substitution. Because this is what we do. We make value. We drive value. And we do it for our executive clients. And the more opportunity that we farm and harvest, the better it is for us. Guys, we make more money. Who doesn't want to make more money? Because at the core of that is the executive. And there's some of the things that we have offered and that we intend to offer, all to be an indispensable service for that executive. Time to get determined. I'm extremely determined, and I'm determined to never have this happen again. The next time I'm bringing my own computer, I'm going to do my own. Any questions, comments, concerns? Not one question. I got $20 for the first question.
Well, I want $20.
You're just jumping on the $20.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you should. We're all in sales. My question is, when are we getting collateral so we know how to use all of that wonderful BD sales information to make more sales of our own?
That's a great question. I got an answer for you.
Great.
Today.
Perfect.
How's that?
Awesome.
Janny, is Janny here? Janny and Joe worked on a great presentation. We actually invested in some new software. It's going to be interactive, actionable PowerPoints. It's going to look like a mini website, actually. We looked at the first draft yesterday. Looks terrific. So you're going to have capabilities, you're going to have process, you're going to have philosophy, you're going to have samples, you're going to have case histories. It should be very easy for you to sell, and you can do it by simply sending a link. Any other questions? Salespeople, why does this matter to me? Gives you more to sell. Don't you want more to sell? Yes? Say it. I want more to sell. Okay, any other questions?
Kevin.
Thank you. I'm turning it over.
Hey guys, I am Vianney, for those of you I haven't had a chance to meet yet. And I'm really excited to sit here or stand up here and talk about our Q4, the work that we did in Q4, but more importantly, what that's led to. So to start, as you may recall, this is our second company, Rock, and it was to activate our strategy to be the most sought after and authentic collection of brands, products, and services for the entire Latino professional community. As we've kind of been underscoring here, we spent the last 6 months essentially really talking about strategy. It's all been strategy, planning, laying the foundation for the new and improved Hispanic executive, and then our new next gen segment brand. But we're done planning. Like 2019 is no longer about planning. We've done all the heavy lifting already, and so Kevin just mentioned it's go time for us for this division. So Today I'm gonna try to stay short and sweet up here. Hard for me, all my emails, if you get anything from me, it's always long, lengthy, I like to elaborate, so I'll try. But more than anything, what I wanna do up here is actually show you the impact that we have had, that we've made in the market with what we've done so far. Because ultimately, right, that's what matters. That's why we do everything that we do every single day is about that. We wanna have a positive impact and we wanna be an indispensable partner to our executives. So in the middle of last year, I stood up here again and I talked about the fact that we needed to sort of breathe new life into Hispanic Executive because there was an expectation for that brand to do more because the market expected us to do more. So we did that. And rather than tell you, every little thing that we did in quarter 4, which I'll do briefly, but I want to lead with instead showing you the impact of all of the positive reactions and the many things that we've already heard from the market. So there's 3 slides of this, but I want to really kind of underscore all of the messages that we've seen. So our work really matters. We have started to see tons of things on social media. We have gotten countless email after email, talking about all the positive things that we've done. So there's going to be, a lot here to read, but I just wanted to underscore a couple of things. We got an email saying, congrats for maintaining your leadership position as a top quality publication for Latinos. We got somebody else to say, well done. We need to become the go-to trusted source for all things Latino talent, existing and emerging executives. This great quote or this great tweet talking about our new column with Ruben Navarrete, who's a new syndicated columnist that we've hired. Congratulations, love the message in new format. Again, here are more tweets. Robert Rodriguez was featured. He was part of our original content strategy for Q1. Finally read the latest edition. Bravo, absolutely love the new design and layout. Kudos to my friend Pedro, and he talks about his feature. Again, then we got a separate email. I mean, the praise has definitely been there, and I think that's just a testament to the incredible work that we did for the last 6 months. Some more, because I want to capture this. I loved this one. I've been reading for many years, Hispanic Executive. I discovered it when I used to work with the Tulsa. We're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's really cool. I'm still a fan. It's great experience. The content cannot be easily overlooked or discarded. And again, we got some people wanting to collaborate, passion, all that good stuff. So these messages, I highlight these because we got so many countless emails when we talked about the sort of the video design and everything. And it underscores the message that, our work matters. Absolutely. The content that we produce matters. The decisions that we make, every initiative we take on as a team, it's not in vain. It all matters because the market's truly noticing, like they're paying attention to everything that we're doing. And if it's bad, we're going to hear about it too. So just kind of underscoring that. So what did we do? I try to mirror Kevin's slide here. I'll just go through this super quickly, but I do want to pause at the first one, which is that we announced a new Hispanic division external. We had a press release, we talked about it, and I want to remind sort of the why for that. And we aligned our 3 Latino market brands because I think it's really important that we remember that in the marketplace, Hispanic Executive, the Alumni Society, and now Next Gen Collective, which is our new brand, they serve very different purposes. So in some senses, they overlap audiences greatly. So to give an instance of that, an executive who's featured in Hispanic Executive might be an Alumni Society member because he went to Harvard or Stanford, right? So that he converts to a member. Just like we might have a young Alumni Society member who might be 30, who works at Goldman Sachs, is thriving in their careers, but he might want to subscribe to Next Gen, to our new Next Gen newsletter, new part of that brand, because he wants to grow and take his level to his career to the next level. So there's going to be crossover, and we understand that. But I think it's still important that despite this overlap, that we also know that what each audience member expects of each of these 3 brands is still going to be very different. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to sort of be under one division, so that we're really aware and aligned on what we're doing. Other things here. So we finalized the Marcom plan. We announced the changes, hence all of the messages. We started rolling out all of our Q1 content. We're still doing that into this quarter. We had some digital sort of aspirations for Q4. We have a new bi-weekly newsletter. Excuse me, Kathy, you've done a great job with that. Kudos. A new website with updated brand elements to really reflect all the changes. We have sort of an original content calendar that we've built out for the year in 2019. And something that I'm really excited about, the teaser's already there, but we secured Zoe Saldana to be our cover for Leading Latinas, which is the second sort of big mainstream, quote unquote celebrity, but she's also an entrepreneur, so we're gonna be covering that. The first big one that we did, the first big celebrity. Yeah. So Eva Longoria was the first. That was like almost 6 years ago. Now we're going to be working with Zoe. Actually, the interview's tomorrow, so hopefully that goes well. And then lastly, we something that I'm personally super passionate about, really excited about, is Next Gen Collective. So we finalized the process, product, and the content calendar through sort of like mid-year 2019 to get after this. And I'm really proud to say that we launched yesterday. So that's really exciting. Kudos to the whole team that really helped to get this to the finish line. Greer, Franny, Cindy, so many people in creative. You all know who you are. I feel like I'm like giving an acceptance speech. You all know who you are. But I really couldn't have done it without you, so thank you so much.
So we'll give her an award.
So, for those of you who are just hearing about this brand for the first time today, I'm just going to quickly summarize it for you because I think that's important. And I'll try to do it in the most simplistic terms. But it's a new digital and events-only brand. So it's essentially a digital newsletter that we're going to pair with live events that's going to speak directly to emerging Latino professionals. So the target demographic is unlike what we're working with currently. It's essentially the people in this room, the majority of us. We're entry to mid-level professionals who want to grow and take our careers to the next level. And so we're going to give them content, and pair that with events and in-person opportunities for them to connect. And so we're going to do that through helpful articles, success stories that specifically highlight this demographic, resources, tools, events, all that good stuff. So that's essentially what this brand is. And of course, we're going to be working with the BD team very closely to align with corporate partners and clients who have, a mutual interest in tapping into this professional pool. So I think for the first time, we're capturing all, with each of these three brands, we're now essentially, catering to and engaging with Latino professionals at every stage of their career. So if you can kind of picture, we're capturing them on the front end with NGC is what I'm going to call it, not to say Next Gen Collective every time, with the Next Gen brand on the front end, and then mid to the latter end with Hispanic executive. And then depending on what school they went to, the Alumni Society captures them throughout because we have younger and we have older members as well. So that's just kind of so you can think holistically about those brands. And then to conclude, I have a favor, proposition, opportunity. I want you all, I'm sure you brought your phones. I want you to take them out. Oh, by the way, this is our website, the newsletter, some of those collaterals. We're still tweaking some things, but check it out if you haven't yet. But I want you to follow us on Instagram. So I literally want everybody to take out your phones, if you've got them, please. Open Instagram and be our first followers for this brand. We also have an Instagram account. So if you can do that, that would be great to help us grow the community. And that is me. I think, Meg, you follow with some updates.
Awesome. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to everyone about Personal Best. If I haven't talked to you in person, sent you 15 emails, yeah, you definitely know that these goals are set. So I want to talk about them today. If you were here last Rock Rollout, you know that Pedro and the Rock stood up here and challenged us, all of us, to give Q4 our absolute best. But more than that, he challenged us to each come up with and own our individual personal best goal. One that pushes us to give 110% to complete. One that on December 31st would make you feel like you gave the best performance possible to close out 2018. And then to position ourselves to tackle what's ahead in 2019. As a reminder, these goals were heavy. So they were meant to be challenging, right? They were what we like to call stretch goals. So as a company, I'm excited to share that we hit 50% of these goals. And that may not seem like a huge amount, but for as challenging and as much as we asked you guys to push yourself, that really is. So we find that to be a huge accomplishment. And I'm excited to actually highlight a few of the goals today. So if you hear your name, could you please stand up. The first one, in sales, Kelly Stapleton killed her goal of exceeding her quarterly ROC of 65K by ending the quarter at almost 86K in revenue. Megan A hit her personal best of having 12 discovery calls in 1 week.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm gonna check these off. Okay, and then in creative, Cindy successfully and expertly executed the HE communication plan. Also, Joe and Jillian set 0 error goals, which I'm excited to share that our last round of magazines that went to press had no errors. Other company successes were in BD. Kyle crushed his personal best by leading his team to bring in the most BD revenue ever in a quarter. And for those of you that follow our HE social media, you should take out your phones now. Sign up if you don't. But you saw that Jacqueline went above and beyond in her personal best to successfully execute social media for the Leading Latinas Northwestern Mutual event in Miami. And finally, all the way out in California, Cheyenne worked relentlessly, as she always does, to smash her goal of sending her suggestions and solutions for problem features to the team within a day of receiving them. Yeah, these were all really, really, really great accomplishments. And there are so many others that I didn't share with you today. They've been hanging in the kitchen, so I hope you took some time to look at them, check the ones that were, checked off. But I want to leave you with this. If you didn't hit your personal best last quarter, that's okay. I didn't. But the important message is we would rather you set a big goal for yourself, grind to hit it all quarter and fall a little short, than to not have pushed yourself to hit a personal best at all. So keep setting personal goals each quarter. They don't need to hang in the kitchen. They don't, need to be talked about with your director. It's just for you to push yourself to be the absolute best and kind of push yourself to get ahead in your career. So keep working hard to hit them. And when you do, set bigger ones for next quarter. Congrats again to everyone on hitting their personal best. So with that, Deannie and Jacqueline are going to come up and talk about rock stars. We didn't know what the music was
Okay, so finally, my favorite part, best part of Rock Rollout.
It's time to look back at our previous quarter and recognize our people. These individuals embody our core values every single day and go above and beyond their job descriptions.
So if you see your name on the screen, come up right away, okay? All right.
Good? Everyone got it? Okay, so then let's get started. Our first rock star is Erin. Okay, don't clap.
Sorry, I dropped it.
Don't clap.
Oh, man's next one. Okay, so this was Erin's first year on the BD team. And all year she demonstrated an ability to thrive under pressure. She's an effective listener and is always looking for feedback before acting. In 2018, Erin took a leap of faith and applied learnings and direction and worked diligently towards improving and growing as a seller. After a bleak Q3, she didn't back down nor give up. She kept focused with a positive attitude and was able to rally to number 1 on the BD team. For being her first year, that's incredible. With 2 back-to-back 100K months in Q4, and in December, she totaled 42K in CAM revenue and 75K in BD revenue. That's crazy.
Okay, our next person, you can save clapping until the end, is Leanne. Okay, Leanne really stepped up in Q4 to help people in other departments, from Dave in finance Kyle and BD. She sees these challenges as opportunities for growth and is always ready to step up and get it done. Most importantly of all, she does it all with the enthusiasm and positivity and is always wanting to make sure she's performing with a can-do attitude. Congrats again.
Our next Rockstar Award goes to Rachel. Okay, Rachel is 100% no nonsense, takes no prisoners. She's brought back to life old solutions on the sales floor and really sees them through. From helping Sarah revamp the onboarding process to getting her team outside of the norm for a quick walk to Dunkin' Donuts, to being the first one to volunteer for floor-wide chats or when a message needs to be delivered. She literally attacks any issues that come her way and displays a deep sense of ownership of not only her role, but the whole place and everybody in it. She's got drive and nerve and knows when to help
Our next rock star is Greer. Greer is the ultimate team player. She is the first to raise her hand whenever anyone else needs help and is viewed as the go-to person by her peers and associates. In Q4, Greer really shined with her HE redesign work and the work she's been doing with the Next Gen Collective. She's thorough and efficient and a true collaborator, not to mention her incredible talents and aesthetics as a designer. Congrats, Greer.
Finally, our last rock star goes to Elise. Oh, I love your shirt. It's so applicable. Thank you. Alright, so if anybody embodies having fun and being proud of the time they spent here, phones, in the sales pit, pitching clients, creating a new idea, and negotiating, it's Elise. Constantly repping herself, Guerrero, and C, and what we can do for our clients, she exudes a passion and a joy for the job that is infectious. The future is limitless with her, and plain and simply, she lives to win.
All right, you guys got the guitar.
I know. You can do it. We'll showcase the guitar.
You guys seen this thing? HE guitar.
Next.
All right. We could have
Our
just
new logo.
looked at this and walked out. That summarizes how cool we are. All right. That was fun. We're covering a lot, and I got a lot to say, but I'm going to keep it brief because we have still yet more to get through. Okay. So at this meeting, like you know, we come together, talk about the goals, look at the strategy, all that good stuff. The tool we use is the VTO. Okay. This thing it shouldn't be static. If the company's growing, changing, pivoting, etc., it should be reflected in the VTO. Okay, this thing is our guide, and at the annuals, the time to really kind of look back and say, does this thing still work? Does this thing make sense? If it does, keep going. If it doesn't, change it. Okay, and so that's what we did. And I'm going to review a couple of minor things that we've changed. All right, so the first one I think is important. And that's the core focus, all right? Our core focus used to be to recognize, promote, and develop great executives, okay? We had a reason behind develop that we could get into if we had more time. But I can't tell you how many of you I talked to who would tell me, I have no idea what that is, okay? So I feel like, okay, that's not a good thing. Right? If we here cannot talk about our purpose in a way that makes sense to us, how in the world are we going to use it externally in the market to elicit a positive response? Because the core focus is something that we should be using. I use it when I talk about, well, what do you do? Well, we recognize, promote, develop great executives. Okay, so that's at the core of everything we get after. But that develop concept, I think the fact that it was still somewhat confusing, or we would have to use our imagination to really out what the hell that means, I thought it was probably a sign that says maybe we should refine it. So we updated it. And our new focus, I think, is way more precise. Our purpose is to recognize, promote, and connect great executives. This is at the core of what we do. When I first picked up the phone, when I was talking about, I want to recognize you, right? So when you distill all the things that we do, at the core of everything we do, we recognize executives, okay? We promote them. And now through our learnings with the the Alumni Society, we connect them. And to be honest, this purpose statement didn't come out of a deep brainstorming session with your leadership team. It came out of a one-on-one that I had with Kane. And I asked her, what's the core focus? And she said, well, what I use is to recognize, develop, and connect great executives. But that's not our focus. It's like, well, that's what I use, because I think that's actually what we do. And she was right. So we updated it. The marketing strategy in the VTO is a part of the VTO that I don't think we necessarily focus on. Or at least I kind of overlooked it. I don't really kind of put too much thinking behind it. But it's actually a really important strategic element of the VTO. And I'll explain it in a second. Okay. There you go. Okay. Our three uniques used to say that we have high quality platforms, that we put the executive at the center of everything we do, and that we have an executive positioning system, the purposes that we all use when we talk to the executives. Now, these are good things, okay? They're still applicable, or we're not going to discard the quality of the work. We're not going to now not have the executive at the center of everything we do. We're not going to perhaps use the executive. That is important stuff. But, you know, I don't think I would actually call it a competitive advantage, right? So the three uniques, their intent is really to tell you, their intent is to be the strategic moat. You guys know what a moat is? Remember castle, moat, alligators, right? Keep people away. It's the thing that makes you unique. It's the thing that will help a competitor say, actually, not this company, I'm going to go with Guerrero, right? It's the thing that really helps you competitively dominate a certain market, right? So the old three uniques I thought were nice things, certainly characteristics of our business, but I wouldn't call them exactly a competitive advantage. Over the Christmas break and in the past quarter, really thinking about all the things that we've been working on for the past 6 months, I think it became really clear what truly is what makes this company unique at the highest possible level. And that really is our competitive advantage. And so the first one is the strength that we have in D&I. So an obvious one is that we're a minority-owned company. We have a Hispanic division that has allowed us to make significant inroads into this corporate world of diversity and inclusion. We're working with D&I people all the time. And guess what? We're helping them recruit diverse talent. One thing I've talked about in the past is our co-branded content model. Our co-branded content model does something that I think is truly important out there in the marketplace, okay? And what it does is that it tells the stories of executives whose stories aren't readily told. You go out on the business media landscape, right, and you see that there is a vacuum of content that's telling the story of executives that are historically underrepresented. So women executives, executives of color, etc. So our co-branded content model allows us, helps us put that type of content out in the world. And we built a strong, diverse executive network. So that's a strength of ours, right? So that's truly one of the things that is a unique for this organization. We've been talking about it, touching on it briefly, but you're going to feel the impact, I think, more so throughout the year and certainly at the end of 2019 when we get into the annual goals. But one of the things that makes this company unique is that we have a truly niche agency service. I know a lot of consultants, I know a lot of service businesses, and I have not seen, and if you find one, show it to me because we got to like check out what's going on. But I have not seen a company that provides executives and companies the unique services that we provide, bundled as such. And it's truly unique, and that's something that I think is one of, at the global level, one of the things that makes us unique. And the other thing about that is that we have something that I think would make any service business envious, is that we have a really unique lead acquisition platform, okay? So Yanni talked about Next Gen Collective, and we all, after this meeting, we'll go back and talk to executives about being featured in one of our magazines. Everything we do from the CAM channel to the Next Gen Collective newsletter, to the podcast that we have, our content, our ability to get executives to come into our world with our content opportunity, that is a truly unique way that we're able to build up our ecosystem, our network, that's essentially going to drive and hopefully help us further our strategy. I think that's something that's truly unique. And of course, we can only do that with our proprietary brands. I don't know another agency out there that has its own proprietary brands like we do. And so our magazines in and of themselves are like, I think, really cool media outlets. I can't tell you how many times I meet an executive that maybe is obviously a Hispanic executive perhaps, or an attorney or general counsel, and they see our content, they see our magazine and say, oh, that's great. Right? So that is something that I think really makes this company unique. The other thing we updated is our 3-year picture. Okay, and so for those of you that were here when our good friend Sean Connor, I don't know, 18 months ago, I don't know how long ago, had an opportunity to present sort of the 3-year picture, he used this sort of road analogy. The 3-year picture is a picture. It's just that. It's what we think, okay, that when we execute our strategy, we think that our company is going to have these certain characteristics. It's going to look a certain way. So the 3-year picture is what is our attempt to think, okay, this is where we want to go. This is where our strategy is going to help us do. So what is it going to look like? And it's important to sort of articulate what that 3-year strategy looks like, because it gives us some sort of directional guidance as to where we're going. But more importantly, and the reason why I'm talking about it right now, is that it then tells us, okay, now what do we got to do in 2019 to set as goals so that we're headed in that direction, okay? So there's a lot to cover in that list. And it's in the VTO. I'm not going to go through it. You guys can take a look at it. But this 3-year picture, I think, is what, if we execute on this strategy correctly, if we set the proper goals in 2019, by extension, the right quarterly rocks every single quarter, we're going to be gradually headed in that direction. Okay, so take a look at the 3-year picture. That's something that we've updated, and that is essentially the framework that we've laid out for us to go after our goals in 2019.
All right, that's me. Short and quick too. So annual goals, we have 3 of them. The Hispanic division, which Vianney talked about, those 3 brands, Alumni Society, HE, and the Next Gen Collective. $3.5 million business unit. Our agency services, all the stuff that I'm selling, and Aleve, the creative sales consultancy, $900,000 in 2019. And then last but not least, aligning sales with our 3-year picture that you guys just looked at. So every time we create these annual goals, I always look at them, and it's always a challenge to be like, why should I care about these? Why should you care about these? And actually, when I saw these, it was a moment of reflection. Was for me, it was how could I not care about these? Because I feel like over the course of, and I think the best way for me to describe this, how could I not care, is maybe going through just a bit of my journey at Guerrero, because I feel like my fingerprints are all over these 3, and more than likely a lot of your guys' fingerprints are all over these. So I want to reference our guy from summer 2018, I believe, 6-7 months ago. He's general counsel at Dyson. I know he just got a new job, general counsel somewhere else. But he came in for our open work series, and he talked about his ability. His daughter asked him a question like, oh, you get to go to a hotel tomorrow. What are you going to eat? Where are you going to stay? And essentially, he was looking at his life and what he had to do for work as, oh, I have to go to a hotel. I have to travel. But his 5-year-old daughter is like, you get to do all this stuff. And so I'm going to put this I get to attitude towards the things that I actually got to do. So when we look back at the Hispanic division goal, for those of you that don't know, well, first and foremost, I got a bunch of lists for ABQ to start, but I ended up moving to HE. I sold ads on HE. I got lists for HE. I managed the HE sales team, right? Fingerprints all over this. Looking at our agency services, it's been short and quick. The last 4 months, I've just been selling it, right? Fingerprints are on it. And then aligning our sales, right? I had the ability to lead the floor, lead a bunch of sellers, leadership development plan originally created for the sales team. Now it's morphed into something much larger, much bigger. So fingerprints all over it again. But when I look at this, you know, I'm glad that I got to bring in lists for ABQ and HE. I'm glad I got to sell ads. I'm glad that when the Alumni Society launched, I was the one that had to rally, I think, 15 to 20 sellers to generate leads for Krista, Pedro, Vianney to go out and sell this stuff. We didn't even have a website at the time. And I'm glad I got to manage a lot of sales teams and a lot of salespeople. At the end of the day, I think what's important or what I'm proud about is that these 3 rocks that we have now annually for 2019, they sit on a foundation in which I got the chance to help build. I obviously didn't do it alone either, but I got the chance to build this stuff. And now a lot of it is moving. It's just transforming and it's growing. So that's been really great. And I think the other point is that it speaks to my work doesn't end and your work doesn't end when you get a list, when you finish designing one article, right? When you finish writing the story on Jason. As Vianney mentioned, your work matters and it has a massive impact and it has a ripple effect, right? Not for days to come, not for months to come. All this stuff that I mentioned that I got to do, getting lists for ABQ, getting lists for AG, that stuff happened 4 or 5 years ago. And now it's still in play today. So when you look at what we've done this year, I mean, Alif, private practice and modern counsel, I mean, you got to feature these folks, and private practice lawyers are going to be in our publications for eternity. You got to do that. Megan Affelbach, 4 years ago, landed Facebook, one of the first Fortune 100 clients we ever landed. How many more Fortune 100 clients have we landed because Megan did that, right? All of you now, you have the opportunity to do that. Look at Vianney, right? First person ever. She got the opportunity to solidify Fortune 500 partnerships and nonprofit partnerships for Hispanic executive over 9 years ago. And now she gets to be the vice president of the Hispanic division, right? It's like, hell yeah moment. Our fingerprints are all over this, all right? Along with yours. So looking forward, I think that the Hispanic division in general, all of these 3 goals in general are going to touch a ton of people, right? So when we look at the Hispanic division, making it a $3.5 million business between BD and the camps and acquiring 10,000 members, it's going to be an effort of probably the majority of this organization. I'd probably say 75%, right? So keep your hands up. Who is selling into these 3 brands? Who is designing and editing the work that we create? Who is taking the photographs? Who is billing and invoicing, right? So there's a ton of hands up. As you guys can see, it's going to touch all of us. Looking at our agency services, again, selling, designing, collecting, it's going to touch 50 to 60 of us. And last but not least, actually to touch back on our agency services, you know, Kevin mentioned that we're determined here. I know a slide didn't work, but it said determined. You guys have seen the end product via some examples with the M&A firm and Cheer TD. But I think what's also important is that we have to understand that this is going to take all year to build, and it's going to be a massive, massive effort. And so what I want to talk about, and I think this is what Pedro was kind of getting at, is that the clients that you decide to capture today are literally the clients of G Plus tomorrow, 3 months from now, 9 months from now. Which goes back to what Vianney said, your work matters. So moving forward, looking at how we're going to align sales with our 3-year picture, Pedro mentioned pivoting the organization, right, to new business lines such as the services agency. And so as we do that, again, what does it mean for a CAM or an editor or a designer who's on American Healthcare Leader? And so it means about exactly what I talked about again and again, that your work matters and it doesn't end today and it doesn't end tomorrow. We probably haven't been able to answer this in a succinct way. And I think the question really comes to like how we probably haven't created the right environment, collateral, and support to answer the question of how does a CAM on AHL or an editor on ABQ impact all of this stuff. And so I want to say today that what you do every single day drives our decisions, strategic decisions as an organization. What you do, your output drives our strategic decisions every year, every day, every month. Whether your output, whether what you do ends up being poor, ends up being excellent, either way, that output drives our strategic decision. So that's how important your work is, because the client you feature in profile leads to another feature in AHL. The client you capture for AG today leads to creative consulting and a website design a year from now, 3 weeks from now. So in order to get after these 3 rocks, we're going to need really good Q1 rocks. And so that's where I'm going to transition over to Dave, right? Oh, Kev first. Hopefully your slides are good.
You just jinxed it right there. I get to do more slides. This is going to be really quick. We have 4 rocks. I'm going to do the first 2. Dave's going to come up and do the second 2. Okay, that worked. Rock 1, activate G+. We already talked about that. We've got a lot of things that have been put into place. Now's go time. Now's the time to fire the cannon, pull the trigger, however you want to describe it. It's time to make it happen, and that's this year. First thing is, what the heck is the name of this thing? We don't really know. We've been calling it G+. I think we could probably call it a lot of other things, but what we're going to do is we're going to attach some branding to this. So it's not just a name definition, but it's figuring out exactly what the brand is. All these things need to happen. At least half, 3/4 of them need to happen in Q1. We have to build this brand. We have to create the capabilities today. We should have that done. We should figure out how to train, how to sell it. We need to actively prospect and sell. We need to finalize the promotional services proposal. That's the 3rd bucket, the 3rd vertical of the menu of services chart. Angela Reeves presented some fantastic work for that dynamic yesterday to me. I think we can really build on it. Mark's working on the recruitment aspect of things. So that's coming along really well too. We need to build the financial models. What will the market bear? What can we charge? How much revenue can we expect versus profit? And we need to create this creative executive promotional prototype. We're actually going to put this thing together. We think it's going to be an easy sell. We think that there's open field there. We're going to finalize the recruitment proposal this year. So these things are going to need to happen immediately. Rock 2, right in front of us, we've had this great talent, this great asset that we necessarily have not monetized it to its fullest degree, and that is our photography. Our photography is striking. It is more than a deal closer. It can be a revenue generator, and we discovered this quite accidentally by determining that we could put a package together where we could sell commercial rights to our photographs. So we're going to put a new discipline together. Strategy is we're going to sell commercial and personal use packages. Aside from the feature, we're going to determine who the sellers are going to be. We're going to create the selling collateral. That's already being worked on. But we're going to define the process and the protocol. We're going to go back up. We're going to reach back up to contacts, executives that we've already had engagement with in 2017 and 2018 to see if we can sell this thing. The metrics, we're going to have contact 200 leads. We're going to pitch 100. We're going to close 20,000. We're going to expand that lead pool. It's real easy. We're trying to generate $200,000 in revenue, $150,000 in profit. So it's going to take not that much work. It's very profitable. Dave?
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Dave, the finance guy. I'm here to present a couple of rocks here, and I'll start with our HD one. As you heard earlier from Biani, I touched on all the exciting things we're doing in our new Hispanic division. So 2019 is about growth, expansion, and definitely in our 3 distinct Latino market brands, few key ways. Expansion of our new corporate clients, growth of new audience members, and expanded events, and what I personally like, growth and revenue. Now, we know the biggest value proposition we can offer our partners is access. And we see the clear opportunity with this market through the expansion of our networks. To reiterate, as Kyle mentioned, the Hispanics division's annual goal is to have 3.5 million in sales and 10,000 members by year end. How does that break down for the first quarter? Well, we're ready to launch a Hispanic division membership plan to acquire 1,000 new members by 3/31. So what does that mean for each of the brands within the Hispanic division? We started with Hispanic Executive, the company's first brand serving the Latino professional and through print and digital media and events. Continuing with the Alumni Society, a network of Latino professionals who graduated from some of the top universities. Now we're expanding into the millennial segment with the launch of the Next Gen Collective. We'll drive a new network for Guerrero Media. But of those three, only the Alumni Society has been a real human network. A membership group of Latino executives with roughly 3,300 members. So we have some work to do on expanding the Alumni Society as well as build out HE and Next Gen communities. How do we do that? First, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to need to do is hire a community manager, an A player to help us engage and grow our audience segments for the three Latino brands, and to help the Hispanic division grow to new heights. A full-time community hire manager is expected to land sometime in next month. From there, we'll create a strategy for the TAS network, on my side. This will be done through a number of proven ways, such as enlisting new schools, but also through new innovative ways that perhaps we haven't thought about yet, or tried. In HE, we're creating content that's meaningful, relevant, and truly valuable for the Hispanic business community. And we're at a point in time where this opportunity to build a first for Guerrero, a paid subscription membership plan. And this is the brand to do it with. It's through this plan that we foresee building a membership within HE that will add value and reach to the Hispanic division, as well as a little bit of extra revenue to the bottom line. And finally, we have the Next Gen Collective. As Vianney mentioned earlier, Next Gen Collective is the new digital media and events brand, but it's also beginning the formation of a new community of the next generation of Latinx professionals. It's through our content and events in which we fully intend to build that community. It's our most ambitious community. There's tons of millennials, with potential for a huge audience size. Now that we've launched, we need to activate and grow our next gen audience to get to a place of critical mass. This will be done through referrals, marketing and communications, and leveraging our existing networks and more. But with these strategies, at the end of Q1, we will obtain 1,000 new members, not only through the Alumni Society, through the activation of Next Gen Collective, the exploration of Hispanic executive membership through paid subscription service. On to the next one. Okay, our final rock is to update the sales process manual and relaunch across the campus. As we continue to focus on CAM sales, we need to look at our current processes and manual and take the necessary steps toward introducing a more consistent, focused, and applicable approach to our sales method. Our current process is dealer's choice with several types of tactics and pitches that are remnants of a past iteration of our sales process. We need to change that. We have to re-engage and make sure we are all rowing in the same direction with the right set of tools. We have to enhance ourselves with those tools to be a productive sales force with no gaps in how we do it here at Guerrero. It all starts with the CAM floor, where all the magic happens. Our strategy will be built around some key initiatives that need to be accomplished. First, we're going to leverage what we have. We need thought leaders, CAM thought leaders and sales directors to come up with an optimized strategy. Who does it best? How do they do it? A committee will be set up to help guide and initiate best practices. We'll enhance the current manual, audit all the material, and identify any gaps and update. What do we do? Does it make sense for them? How can we do it better? We'll establish a process for regular updates to the manual. This needs to be an agile process that can efficiently adjust when we need it to. But owners who are accountable for tasks and updates, schedule for training and changes, feedback loops for comments and suggestions, and further customization by tier brand to further focus CAMs at every stage of their selling career in Light Magazine. We'll create training and learning guides as well. We'll have videos showing best practices and stories, descriptions of scenarios, and how to navigate. And additionally, we'll have a calendar of training to help. Again, this rock is a step toward optimization that leads to more consistency and better results across our client floor. We're underway with Rachel and Sarah tackling onboarding already and Pedro establishing committees. We want to enable our CAMs to be the best they can be, have the necessary tools to go get it. That's what it takes in this line of business. This will all help us get there. Let's go get it. All right, guys, that's all we have for Q1 Rocks. I'd like to thank Kevin for his help, and I'll continue with org changes. All right, I'm back.
Like you never left.
All right, so we have a few changes for Q1 and I'd like to go over them. First off, we'll have, and you guys have your org charts with you. It doesn't look that great up here, so follow with me on your chart there. First off, we'll have MJ stepping out of the Tier 1 sales leader role. As Kyle called him last quarter, Michael Jordan, aka Mark Jerby, will be back to operations. However, we're bringing in two legends to add additional leadership to the sales floor. We're bringing back Larry Bird and Magic Johnson to take the helm on the sales floor, represented by Pedro and Kyle. I wasn't creative enough to find relevant NBA players with the same initials. I'll let you guys decide who's who. Pedro will oversee Tier 2, 3, and onboarding as VP of CAM sales. This movie will better leverage our sales directors and take some time for the leadership activities so they can better focus on CAM production, process, and training. Also work on reinvigorating our tactics sales process and taking charge of the sales manual update we talked about a minute ago. In addition to the BD, Kyle will oversee Tier 1 as well. We'll help strategy and execution of our top performers. This is how we optimize, bringing the best help to Tier 1 to get to the next level. In addition, we provide additional training and coaching for career growth and new product introduction. In creative, from a management perspective, we have Caleb departing, so his team will now roll up to Kevin in the interim while our future plan is solidified. And Mark talked about this earlier, but an important change in creative is we're bringing in two in-house writers. Again, as Mark mentioned, this will help our quality and efficiency for our content, as well as improve revenue retention and hopefully less invoices for KDB process. So great idea, Mr. Kevin. Moving on to our Hispanic division, we have a community manager hire. Again, we mentioned that in our rocks. Our key strategy to build out our membership across our networks for the Hispanic division. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your org chart for Q1 2019. That is all I have for org changes. Pedro, please come up and send us off to Q1 Glory. Thanks for your time, guys.
We're about the halfway point of this presentation. What are some, I mean, this is kind of a cheat sheet, but what are some common themes that y'all heard today? You can repeat some of these or some new ones. Germination.
Go 10.
Go 10.
Launch.
Launch. Norm, can you see this? You're squinting. Growth. Is that what you said, growth? I can't hear. Okay. What are some other themes that y'all heard?
Best practices.
Best practices. Anyone hear something that's not up here?
Slides.
Slides. Yeah.
Evolve.
What's that?
Evolve.
Evolve. Strategy.
I get to.
What's that?
I get to.
I get to. Yep.
Connecting our cycle across the organization.
What'd you say, Kelly?
Connecting our cycle across the organization.
Connecting our cycle across the organization. And so, a lot of information thrown at everyone today, okay? And a lot of themes that we heard today. What do y'all think is it's gonna take for this organization or for each one of you individually to get after it. That road I showed in the 3-year picture, it wasn't a straight line. Zigzag. Right? A change, a pivot. So what is it that you think we're gonna need in this 12-month sprint that we call the calendar year, that we call 2019? What's that? Tact? Okay. What else?
Good communication.
Good communication. Endurance.
Thriving in change and adaptation.
Thriving in change and adaptation. Getting closer. Product knowledge.
Inspiration.
Inspiration.
Perseverance.
Perseverance. So we're starting the year. We're halfway through June. We're starting the year. We're ready to roll.
What year is it?
We have an idea of what's ahead, but we don't know. We have an idea that we have a fantastic slide presentation that just blows up. Okay? And then we have sort of the macro things going on in the world that we live in. You hear people talking about, oh, there's going to be a recession sometime soon. Unknown, gridlock in Washington. A lot of stuff that is in the world that we live in that requires, I think, determination. It requires us to be able to thrive and change. So we have some core values, I think, that are applicable. But one of the things that I really want to highlight that I think is a good theme for next year, that I think goes into a lot of the work that we saw last year. And that's, it's like the ending of The Sopranos. We're not. That's the thing. Blake. We're not doing it. This is what it is. What it takes to get through a presentation like this, okay? What it takes to grin and pretend it's fucking going all right, is the same thing that it takes to be the first person to get something done. I get to. I know a lot of you that just started. This is the first time you're going to talk to an executive of a Fortune 500 company. Get to. Okay? What it takes to do all of that, to be able to just strap in and say, let's get after it, it takes grit. All right? And that's the theme that I want everybody to be thinking about throughout the year. Grit. It takes grit to be able to pivot. It takes grit to be able to thrive and change. Some of the same activity that I did myself 13 years ago, you're doing right now. Whether it's your first camp call or the first BD pitch or the first newsletter that Greer, thank you for staying up late to put together with Yanni and sending it off at the last minute. Whoa. Right? That takes grit, determination, focus. Okay? And so that's what I want all of us to really think through. Because I think if you have grit, you're going to certainly be able to get through the good times. That's easy. Actually, you don't need grit for the good times, unless you're having too much of a good time. Right? You need grit to get through the bad times. And what I know from 13 years of doing this is that it's not always sunny. It's going to rain. That's probably. Okay? But they're going to be storms ahead. They just are. Okay? And so grit is what's going to help you get through it. All right? And so that's what I want us to be thinking about. That's what I want us to come back to and remind ourselves about when you're out having a cigarette with your colleagues, like, grit, let's get at it. Okay? So you've heard a lot today, a lot of stuff thrown your way. You're going to hear a lot of this stuff, hopefully not just at the quarterly rock rollouts, but in our conversations, in our discourse. So thank you. That's one thing Mark mentioned that I think also got overlooked. Thank you. Thank you for all the hard work that you guys brought to the table in 2018. And I'm going to thank you in advance. All right, I'm going to date this postcard, 1/31/19, sent to all of y'all. Thank you for the hard work that you guys are going to implement in 2019. All right, so let's go.
I know, I got a 10 too. like right in the middle of where we got. I know it's exactly. That's all really thinking too. I was literally thinking at the end, wow, they didn't say it once. I know, me too. And then, oh. Okay.
Don't save your presentation. You can push your play. Yeah.
That's a retainer opportunity. Oh, yeah.
I did, but going by road.
It is an afternoon.
Really?
It's like a carnival. You can buy all the knockoff sports jerseys. No doubt.
Oh, my dad used to stash it there and make me sit on the ground and sell my books in a box. He literally sold jeans at back.
Why didn't we get these testimonials for this?
Oh, it's a great place. It is literal gold.
My little.
Yay! I know what we're doing this weekend.
Yeah. Hot dog.
Seems a bit shady, but just give it a shot.
A little bit like you're.
Don't ask for anything cable.
Kind of like you're in a gypsy camp, but it's nice.
Where's that little bag? Mark that. You're the best one yet. Really good. Great name in it.
That's what I'm doing now.
Jacqueline, is this your charger?
No,
Okay.
yeah, I'll grab that.
I'm just gonna put it by the couch.
5 years.
Chargers over here.
Kevin, that's staying over here.
Okay.